Hello, welcome back. So please come to stand. Go ahead and stand. Okay, so I think it will be better if we do this together. Stand on both legs, and we are so familiar with standing. Maybe I'm not that familiar. For me, it's always new, but it's not so easy to find to know what we are doing when we are doing something. My God, how am I even standing? That's something I figured out when I was a baby. I hope you did too. And since then it somehow works, and it just gets worse until someday we cannot do it anymore. So let's prevent this kind of pathway and make it better and better, and see where can we go as humans in our own development. So when we do these kind of classes, these kind of explorations, we grow together. Like we grow together, but we grow together, and so we are getting better with how we stand and how we balance and so forth. And if more people would be doing this, maybe we as a humankind could take further steps, so that in old age isn't something that means we're getting worse, but old age means we're getting wise. Same starting letter. Wise or worse? Red pill or blue pill? So standing. If you stand very close together, your feet very close together, so try that. And I prepared a chair for myself, so in case I lose balance, I can use the chair. So maybe take a chair with a good backrest, something you can easily, or maybe a couch. Fallable spaces, easy fallable spaces, or yes. So if you stand very close together, if you have your ankles together and your feet together, you notice the space you take is small, the size of your feet, and that's it. And this gives you a kind of possibilities to go in any direction. So if you bend forward, you would easily can go forward, and if you bend to the side, you could easily go to the side and backwards. So that's 4 directions. Let's do this properly. Bring the head backwards, bend backwards until it's a step backwards. So that's scary for some people. If this is scary for you, just don't do it right now. But let's build this into today's practice also. The step backwards. The step back, the move of the smart person. A step backwards and then maybe 2 steps forwards. Anyways, so as opposed to when you stand very wide, so this is kind of a very stable pose, but then you can't do much because it's to come onto one side. A lot of things need to happen before that happens. So that's a very stable pose with less possibilities or different possibilities than when you have your feet together, and try both just to make sure to verify for yourself through experience what I'm talking about. So we have this, and then there's a middle ground. Again, the middle ground for the reasonable person, for the smart person. Not too stable, not too flexible. How far is it? Is this shoulder width the ideal stance? Shoulder width apart or hip width apart? Where is it? What is your comfortable distance where you feel stable and flexible, like a mix of both? And do you have, when you just look forward and you place your feet in a way where you feel comfortable, so maybe just walk a little bit on the spot, look around in the room, and then come to standstill and just feel like that's your kind of middle position. And there's no scales down there, unfortunately, so we don't know how much weight is on the left foot and how much weight is on the right foot. Maybe it's 50-50%, but most likely there's a preferred leg the standing leg, your preferred, like there's a hand we use for writing and for using scissors and I don't know, cooking. And there's also a leg that is preferred for standing, and there's also one eye that is preferred for, maybe it's, for me it's the left eye, and maybe there's a nostril, and also there's a side that's preferred to bend. So we have preferences, we humans. So where do we go with this lesson? Let's do a movement. So you're in your preferred stance, the smart one, the middle grounds, and then shift your weight to one side, to one foot more, over one leg more. So for me, I started to the left, so we could go together. Come back to the middle, so there is a midline, and then go to one side, and come back to the middle, and then move to the other side, and come back to the middle. And if you do this with attention, if you pay attention on how you do it, then you will notice that one side is just a bit easier than the other side, isn't it? One side is easier to move the pelvis on that leg. So it's not that serious, but it's serious, because if you look at this, these are vital things. Like, this is our life. And if we improve these kind of things like standing, then our whole life improves, because this is our life, this is our time. We are in this moment. So, which is your easier side to shift your weight to? And then you could, for example, observe in your feeling. So what a concept, to feel. We are allowed to feel. This is the perks of our time. We are allowed to feel. We are allowed to notice and to sense, and we even have outlets to tell as many people as possible about our experiences. So you have a foot, that's what I want to say. You have a foot, and your foot is not just your heel, but your foot is like there's the toes and the balls of your toes, and there's arches, and when you move to the side, do you move more over your heel, or do you move more over your toes? And you can actually feel how you shift your weight when your weight is more on the inside of your foot, and more in the middle of your foot, and more on the outside of your foot. And then at some point it doesn't go any further without taking a step. At some point just one foot comes off. But let's explore that a little bit deeper. So we have the shifting, we could say a translation of the pelvis. So if I would hold my head in the same position, it's just a translation of the pelvis to the right and to the center, and to the left and to the center. Or should we go like, should we use the feet as a base and the head just as an extension of the legs? And so how do we do it? Let's do something else. Let's do side bending. Just stand again. Just stand casually. So how do we stand when we stand casually? Or see, I'm doing these funny things, and I'm doing them for a reason, because for me it's a break. And in my break, I want to move a little bit. I don't want to shake out things too much, but I just want to move a little bit. So if you have a break, do you ever watch children, like children who are allowed to move? So when they have a break, they move, and they even roll down to the floor or come. They are active, aren't they? Let's continue. So please come to stand, and stand, so more or less in the middle, and then we will side bend, but we will start with the left ear first. So bring your left ear closer to your left shoulder. So we will involve the cervical spine, the neck. So it's a movement of the neck. That's a funny move in itself. And then when the ear cannot go any further to the left, depress your shoulder, which means you can slide, you can approach with your hand the floor. So that's a side bending. So that kind of involves everything, the neck and then the chest. We have bones in the chest somewhere. There's ribs, we can feel the ribs, and there can be a side bending. And we don't stretch. There's no stretching and no strengthening in this lesson, which is a little bit strange for a movement lesson, because these are like the backbones of movement nowadays, stretching and strengthening. But here it's about coordination, about being aware of movement, movement organization and well-being, and no stretching. So what can we do without stretching? Interlace your hands and bring the hands on top of your head. So we have the arms are connected to the spine in a way. Actually the arms are connected to the head and then bend to the left. So if we do this little trick to have the hands on top of the head, the whole spine has to move when you think of your left elbow coming closer to the floor. And how much of a twist? How much of a twist is this going to be? Well, let's not talk about the twist. Just let's talk about side bending, and then bring down your arms again and just bend to the left. Which means your right hand, your right shoulder comes further away from the floor and your left shoulder comes closer to the floor. That's how it works. And my God, my feet are starting to hurting from all this standing. So let's take a break for my good, just to walk a little bit or to sit a little bit. What an organically flowing lesson. So when I plan lessons, I don't use scripts. I don't script my videos because I don't have a team. I stand alone. So I do everything in my head and I plan lessons. And for today, I planned a couple of movements we are going to do. This is a funny video picture. I'm so small in the picture. I'm so small here. So let's come to stand again. So please come to stand again. Oh, side bending to the right. So we had the side bending to the left. We started with the left ear. So this time start with your right ear. With your right ear to your right shoulder. So one side is definitely better, isn't it? So maybe it's not the best idea to start with the head, but we start with the head or with the ear anyways. So right ear to the right, and then the right shoulder down and the left shoulder up, and the right hand can sink towards the floor, just hang. The right arm should just hang. So that's a side bend. I think the side bend should really not start with the head, but here we are. Here we are. We are doing this. Or with the hands interlaced on top of the head to the right. So here with the hands on top of the head, we have this a genius move to connect the shoulder girdle more to the spine through the hands. So the whole spine can bend to the right, And it's not about stretching, it's about movement coordination to address everything that can bend when we are bending. So to wrap this up, we had two motions. One is with the pelvis to the right and to the left, and the other one was the spine bending with the sacrum as a base, the spine bending to the left or to the right. But why use the sacrum as a base? Like we are humans. See, we have legs. We can remove the legs from the floor. Like we can actually jump. We can swim. Why use this as a base? Maybe the pelvis can move too. Maybe the pelvis can move through space too, and then the pelvis can also be. So so let's combine those two movements to have a concept here, a very clean structure of movement. So move your pelvis to the left, and at the same time side bend to the right. So the pelvis moves to the left, and at the same time, or you could start with your right ear, you could start with side bending and then move the pelvis. So we combine, it's a combination of movements, the translation, the pelvis to the side and then the side bending, pelvis to the left and side bending to the right. Or, so there's so many ways to combine these two suddenly. So you could side bend to the left. So let's make a complete sequence first. Side bend to the left and shift the weight to the right. Just to go properly through the combinations of movements. Side left ear to the left, left shoulder down, right shoulder moves up, up is up, down is down. And the pelvis to the right. But we could just as well, as a next movement, move the pelvis to the left and also side bend to the left. But then we need a coordination. Move to the left and side bend to the left. Or maybe side bend first and at the same time. So the weight comes off the right foot, move to the left and side bend to the left. So the weight comes off the right foot, and this is where we need the chair maybe. So when you bring your weight over your left hip joint and the top of the hip joint, the top of your leg is a ball joint, slippery little ball. And then there's the little, depends, like for us it's big, but if you compare to an elephant, it's a little bony, it's just like a chicken. It depends where is zero, where do we refer? So we shift your weight to the left and side bend to the left, no, side bend first and then shift the weight, and this will make this will bring off your heel at least, so you can keep your toes on the floor. So this is a movement that's funny, to say the least. A funny movement to shift the pelvis to the left and to side bend to the left. So maybe shift the weight to the left and side bend to the right. What do you think? Or we shift the weight to the right and side bend to the right, just to the other side as well. And then, whoop, the left foot becomes free. The left foot is in the air. How did this happen? This is because we shifted the weight to the right and side bended to the right. And of course, there's the whole foot. It's not just, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not just the heel that presses down, but the whole foot is made to carry. Maybe carry is the wrong word for the foot. Maybe the foot has a structure and the brain has a part for the foot, a way of thinking for the foot that helps us to shift the weight over to the right and side bend to the right. And the foot can hold. So there's this yoga position where you bring your weight over your right foot and then you bring your leg, because the left leg doesn't have any weight anymore. So we can put the left leg, we cannot put the left leg in the pocket, but so I guess that's why they thought, okay, this is like a clean place to store the left foot then, somewhere above the right knee. So that's a place because it doesn't have any weight, so where can we put it? Okay, it's here, and then you can do this kind of thing with the arms up to make things worse, of course, because like in school, everything gets more complicated the longer you are there. But you could just as well have your arms out to the side to balance. And just to play with it, it's not too serious. We just play with two movements, shifting the weight to the side and side bending, and then we can make the funniest combinations of these two movements and explore. There's this other plane of movement where the pelvis moves backwards and forwards, and we have extension and flexion. So we have these two planes, forwards and sideways. Oops, sideways here, sideways. So this is as much as we need actually to understand. So when we look at some people, maybe they are always bent to the right. Like I am bent to one side, and you are bent to one. Everybody is. There's nobody straight. It cannot be. But so we could walk like this, bent to the right. We could walk like this, bent to the left. Yes. So what do we do next? What should we do next? Let's look at this without complete legs. So take a chair, and then we're going to remove the right lower leg. So you're standing on your left foot and the right knee. So so it's like a temporary amputation, and do the same thing. Move your weight to the right and back, and let's see how that functions in this position, or the weight to the left, or side bending to one side, side bending to the other side. Or how is it to shift the weight to the left and side bend to the right? Or how is it to shift the weight to the right and side bend to the left? And how is it to make little steps on the chair? So with the shifting of the weight and the side bending, you could remove weight. So when you bring your weight onto your left leg and side bend to the right, suddenly the right knee becomes free, and you can place the right knee in a different spot. Okay, so one thing I need to mention. Some people would recommend to do these movements with the eyes open to keep better balance. And that's not bad advice, because we use the eyes for balance. We use our eyes to balance. We tense our eyes and help with our eyes so we don't fall. But the eyes are not the only thing in our body, in ourselves, that help us with balance. And there's other things too. For example, in the ears, there's tech built in to help us balance, and also in the ankles. These funny toe socks. So somehow the brain has an area, I don't know how how we are built, but the ankles are for balance. And we could do these movements with eyes closed, and in this way improve how we use the other balance systems, how we perceive gravity, how we perceive shifting of weight, proprioception, how we change our limbs in relation to each other, and through feeling to remove ourselves a little bit from this highly visual world. And maybe your eyes are overly strained, and maybe that can create headaches. When the eyes are always working not only to see, but also to balance. And with this kind of exercise, we restore order in the body again, in the sense of we feel ourselves, our relation to gravity again, and we use maybe the ears and the ankles for balance. So let's continue with our explorations. Let's try the other side. So this time we remove the left lower leg. Temporary amputation by putting the knee on the chair. So the chair is now my new left leg and the right leg. So first standing upright, how much of a spread is nice. So this is a big spread would be very stable. The stable spread or a narrow stance would be the stance of possibilities. Easy to go in any direction. There's a mix. Where do you put your knee, where do you put your leg, and also explore shifting your weight, explore shifting side bending to take weight off your left leg so you can lift off your left knee and place it in different locations. And then bring on weight onto your knee again. So it's a time to play with these things and to be aware. You shall be aware. That's nice, isn't it? You shall be aware. In a good way, of course, of how everything works in your body, how your proprioceptive systems, is that even a word? And then when you stand on both legs again, so please come to stand on both legs again and see how aware you are of your feet once we attach them again. It's so nice to have both feet back. Hello, both legs back. So that's such a relief to have both legs again and feel more aware in how we stand, how we shift the weight to the left, and how much of a side bending is there. And if you shift the weight to the left and you side bend to the right, then your weight is on your left foot, and the right foot doesn't have that much weight. And maybe you can, if you're safe, make yourself a safe space. So shift your weight. You can use a wall instead of a chair. This would work too. And then shift your weight to the left and side bend to the right. Or shift your weight to the side bend to the left and shift your weight to the left until your right foot doesn't have any weight anymore. And then you can just allow your right foot to lift. And then we could put it in any old place with a free neck, a neck to look around. And we could even do this without eyes, or with our eyes looking, without using our eyes that much to hold balance. And this will improve many other things in our lives. So that's that. The temporary amputation, we did this, and then we finally do kneeling. So I I already have like one entire 15-minute video just on kneeling, where we shift the weight from one side to the other and we do the side bending. So I'm not going through this again, I just mention it, that we have this. Oh, this is fun, it's nice, it just changes a lot in a short time. So what else do we need? We will look a little bit at walking patterns. For this we will go outside, film a little thing outside, and then and then we're done with this. Yes, so I hope this was I'm speaking of myself in many persons, so I hope I was able to increase your awareness of how you shift your weight and how much you side bend in which situation. Side bend, shift the weight and side bend. How many percent of weight shifting and how many percent of side bending is in a movement? All right. Well, we experiment with different kinds of you and me, because you are watching and I am talking, and it's an experiment we do together, and I'm just trying to produce videos in different ways and see if you like it. And if you like it, please leave your like, leave your comment. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.